Buckingham Palace or Prince William set a trap for Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, and were they gullible enough to fall into it?
The walls inside Buckingham Palace are trembling again, and trust me, Meghan Markle isn't flashing that picture-perfect Instagram smile today. Word is rippling through the palace corridors like an electrical current, and everyone's whispering the same thing. This time, the trouble isn't about tabloids or talk shows. It's about something far more dangerous: royal legitimacy.
Meghan entered this world like it was a Hollywood set, assuming she could rewrite the script, center herself in every scene, and edit out anything that didn't fit her narrative.
For years, Meghan truly believed she could outsmart the monarchy. She wrapped herself in glossy PR campaigns, staged those dreamy photo shoots, and delivered teary monologues on Oprah as if royal protocol were nothing more than a fussy dress code at some Hollywood brunch. She made being royal look like a role you could audition for, rewrite, and rebrand until now. Because suddenly, the palace isn't playing along. They're not charmed by speeches about empowerment, they're not dazzled by curated lighting, and they're certainly not ignoring whispers that have haunted social media for years.
And then they put out pictures of Lilibet, but it doesn't. You see her half covered.
Right.
But what you always see is Meghan. So it's all about Meghan again.
This isn't the usual gossip, not another clickbait headline or a Meghan-controlled narrative wrapped in Spotify-style metaphors. This is serious. This is constitutional. The monarchy doesn't run like a Netflix show where scripts get rewritten overnight. Lineage means proof, real documents, official witnesses, medical verification, and Anglican records that have existed for centuries. Yet Meghan behaved as if the institution should simply take her word for everything because she once held a baby bump in front of a camera. Now the Crown is asking, where's the proof?
And then when the baby was born, when Archie was born, that was another, in my view, a disaster, because I knew we was not going to get a picture of it. Everybody was hoping we would get pictures.
Rumors are swirling that the palace has finally noticed what millions of people online have whispered for years. Odd paperwork, strange photos, sudden amendments, and christening details that seem completely offbeat from centuries of royal tradition. If this review deepens, and trust me, it's already begun, Meghan's carefully staged fairy tale might collapse faster than her podcast deal. Because this time, the issue isn't image, it's inheritance. And no amount of Hollywood lighting can fix that. Something inside the palace finally snapped, and it wasn't over her speeches or garden photo spreads.
I do believe because there are no delivery certificates, and I heard stories early on around the time Archie was allegedly in utero and being born, I heard stories that royal staffers were not allowed to see or touch her abdomen.
Senior advisors reportedly noticed that Meghan had just shared a supposedly sweet family moment with Archie in the Montecito sunshine. And that's when things began to shift behind those palace doors.
Meghan didn't like the surname Mountbatten Windsor. If you remember, in her first lifestyle series with Meghan with Them Forever, she says to Carling that her surname isn't Markle but Sussex. And she was desperate to get it. She said, we never had a proper surname, and of course they did.
According to insiders, when palace staff cross-checked archival details, they stumbled across odd irregularities, records that looked vague, missing signatures, or written in formatting that didn't resemble any official royal document. That's when the real panic started. Discussions exploded over whether a royal birth registered abroad without official medical witnesses could even qualify under the constitutional standards required for inheritance and titles. Meghan's obsession with privacy backfired spectacularly. The less she let the institution verify, the more the palace now needs to question. One senior aide reportedly asked the million-pound question: if everything was standard, why does nothing look standard on paper? That single sentence was enough to trigger an internal verification review. And here comes the twist Meghan never saw coming.
All of the pictures, my point is, out there were inconsistent with the idea of a real pregnancy. And I thought, what is she not contextually aware? She's trying to hide something. This is really sloppy pool.
This wasn't driven by jealous courtiers or rival royals. According to internal chatter, the monarchy launched the review for one reason only: to protect the royal lineage on paper, not on Instagram. But the real shock came when they opened Archie's file. When staff examined his documents, they didn't find glamour, PR, fluff, or fairy tale footnotes. They found a bizarre amendment. Archie was born on the 6th of May 2019 with a completely standard birth certificate naming his mother as Rachel Meghan Markle. All fine. But a month later, June 5, without clear explanation, the document was changed. Her name was replaced by a grand title, Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Sussex. Sudden, unexplained, and historically unheard of.
It is uncomfortable. I don't think, because she's done this before for photos, I don't think that is a real baby bump. I think
way too big. It's way too big.
and sort of too low as well.
Yeah, it's like a metre out there. I mean, It looks the wrong shape.
Where's she going to give birth there? Through her knees or something? I mean, that is too...
In a monarchy that's documented births and christenings with surgical precision for centuries, last-minute edits are almost impossible. Every royal birth record is reviewed, signed, sealed, and locked before it's ever made public. Yet this one was changed quietly without a public reason, opening a storm of suspicion. When questioned, Meghan's camp blamed the palace for tampering without her consent, painting her as the victim. The palace countered that she herself had requested the edit for aesthetics, for brand image, to make it sound more royal. Two clashing stories, no paper trail, and no explanation. The kind of contradiction that makes investigators raise their eyebrows. Even stranger, there was no traditional royal easel outside the hospital to announce Archie's birth. That's not a cute tradition, it's an official act of verification, confirming legitimate witnesses and medical oversight. This was sloppy, unheard of in royal protocol. Archie's arrival felt less like a state event and more like a celebrity PR stunt. But if Archie's paperwork made the palace uneasy, Lilibet's case sent them into full-blown alarm. Lilibet was born the 4th of June 2021, and unlike every royal birth before her, the announcement didn't come from royal aides or medical officials. It came straight from Harry and Meghan's PR team in California. No UK doctors, no midwives, no royal signatures, nothing official at all. Every monarchist knows royal births aren't private family moments, they're constitutional events. There must be witnesses, documents, church records. But Lilibet's existence was unveiled like a brand launch, not a birth. And while none of that proves deception, it deepened the palace's unease. Because royal portraits aren't about likes or aesthetics, they're lineage documentation, they're historical evidence. If photos can't be verified, every other record must be bulletproof. Inside the palace, this stopped being gossip. It became a constitutional emergency. The monarchy doesn't survive on emotion, it survives on paperwork. If a royal child's birth isn't formally witnessed, if a christening isn't Anglican, and if records appear irregular, the entire line of succession could one day face legal challenges. And that's a nightmare scenario no one wants. The crown has endured scandals, divorces, and public fury. But uncertain lineage? Never. One insider reportedly said, "We can survive bad headlines, but not bad records." The monarchy's succession law is built like steel. It demands absolute clarity because the entire constitutional chain of command depends on it. And if a single doubt lingers about documentation, christening, or birth oversight, everything from titles to hereditary privileges hangs in the balance. In this case, about whether you think the birth was real, whether you think there was a surrogate, whether you think Meghan was wearing a moon bump, the fact is, Harry and Meghan lied. Buckingham Palace lied on their behalf. There was a complete cover-up over the birth of Prince Archie. That statement, whispered from insiders and echoed by critics, shook every corridor from Clarence House to Windsor. For the monarchy, this wasn't a scandal to gossip about. It was a threat to constitutional order. Reviewers quietly warned that if these doubts were left unresolved, the damage could explode in the future, potentially sparking political challenges, legal reviews, and even public outrage. So, they made a firm decision. Better to verify now, discreetly, than face humiliation later. This internal review was not a tabloid chase. It was a royal emergency response. Because for Meghan, this wasn't about minor paperwork, it cut straight through everything she and Harry had built since they walked away from the palace gates. Their billion-dollar empire, their media deals, their fame in Hollywood all rested on one fragile foundation, that their children were royal heirs. Without that, the entire Sussex brand collapses. Imagine it. Netflix, Spotify, book deals, speaking tours all built on the image of royal parents raising modern heirs. But if palace investigators conclude that any document fails constitutional standards, everything changes. Titles could be suspended, recognition could be paused. And Meghan's empire built on royal mystique would tremble. Because the truth is, Meghan's power has never been her acting or podcast skills. It's been the illusion of royalty, that intoxicating aura that made every Hollywood producer open their checkbook. People didn't tune in for another celebrity couple. They tuned in for the Duke and Duchess, for royal bloodlines, for the continuation of history wrapped in designer coats. And if the palace now confirms that the documentation chain isn't airtight, that mystique evaporates overnight. Hollywood hates risk. Studios will whisper, if the lineage is unclear, is the brand even real? And suddenly, the royal couple becomes just another celebrity pair in California, famous but replaceable. Inside Buckingham Palace, the mood has turned cold and strategic. The less Meghan knows about how deep this verification goes, the harder it is for her to spin it. Silence is the crown's weapon. No leaks, no press releases, no chance for her to twist the narrative before the truth settles. Why not, Father Calvin? Just put the bill to Parliament now. Just strip them of their titles. I'm done. Those aren't random cries. They reflect a growing frustration among royal loyalists who feel Meghan's Hollywood experiment went too far. And yet, behind closed doors, the palace isn't moving out of revenge or emotion. They're doing what monarchies have done for centuries, protecting the sanctity of lineage. No matter how much glitz, glamour, or global attention Meghan generates, the monarchy plays by one rule: paperwork doesn't lie. This internal review isn't about gossip. It's not about jealousy or personal feuds. It's about preserving a line that traces back over 1,000 years. Every signature, every seal, every witness, those are the real pillars of royal power. And if those pillars wobble, the whole empire could shake. Inside her Montecito mansion, Meghan reportedly fears this exact moment more than public backlash. Because no matter how many magazine covers she graces or how many talk shows she books, she knows one truth: she can't PR her way out of a constitutional review. She can curate Instagram posts, but she can't edit lineage law. She can control lighting, but not legitimacy. And the more the palace investigates, the more control slips through her fingers. Because while Meghan thrives on emotion, crying, storytelling, empathy, the monarchy survives on order. Cold, factual order. And that's what terrifies her. If the palace decides that proper Anglican christening documentation is missing, or if they find inconsistencies in birth registration, it could change the children's standing in ways Meghan can't undo. Titles might be frozen, recognition withheld, future privileges quietly paused. And that's not just personal, it's financial. Every deal they've signed hinges on the assumption that they are the glamorous continuation of the royal line. Remove that, and the spotlight dims. Hollywood executives are already whispering, is this story still royal or just celebrity? Streaming platforms hate uncertainty. Publishers despise legal ambiguity. Investors prefer heritage that can't be questioned. And if Meghan loses that aura of being the mother of royal heirs, her brand loses its crown. The cruel irony? The very privacy Meghan fought for has now backfired into suspicion. By hiding details, she invited scrutiny. By controlling access, she lost control of the truth. In the palace, there's a saying, what is hidden must one day be verified. And that's exactly what's happening. Inside the palace, the review continues quietly, professionally, relentlessly. Not as revenge, but as necessity. The monarchy isn't panicking, it's protecting itself, because lineage isn't personal. It's constitutional. And Meghan, for all her media mastery, has finally stumbled upon something she can't influence: royal law. The irony couldn't be sharper. The woman who built her empire on narrative now faces the one story she can't rewrite. Even Harry seems uneasy. Friends say he's torn, caught between his wife's narrative and the institution that defined his entire existence. Behind every photo, every polished statement, every commercial deal lies a deeper tension. The monarchy's silence isn't weakness, it's preparation. Because the palace never forgets. It watches. It waits. And when it finally acts, it does so with centuries of authority behind it. Whatever this internal review uncovers, whether it ends quietly or erupts into public clarification, it will ripple far beyond gossip. It's not just about Archie and Lilibet. It's about the future of the monarchy, the credibility of royal documentation, and the limits of Meghan's power. The palace has survived scandals, divorces, even abdications, but it has never tolerated confusion in its bloodline. Meghan can master the spotlight, but she cannot master the archives. And deep down, she knows that. Hollywood can forgive a scandal. The monarchy never forgets a discrepancy. And as whispers turn into reports and reports into files, Meghan finally realizes there are no filters strong enough to edit constitutional truth. So while her PR team drafts statements and her fans flood social media with defenses, the palace remains silent, because silence, in this game, is power. The investigation isn't about punishing Meghan, it's about preserving history. The birth of every royal child isn't just a family celebration, it's a national event, a constitutional record. It must be traceable, witness verified, and legally sound. And that's the one story Meghan can't control. She can spin emotion, shape perception, and polish her image, but she can't negotiate lineage. Because lineage doesn't negotiate. It's either proven or it isn't. And now, that proof is being quietly sought behind those stone walls that have outlasted every royal scandal before. Whatever the palace finds, whether it confirms everything or changes everything, the implications will reach far beyond titles and headlines. It will touch the very foundation of the Sussex identity, their children's recognition, and the future of their empire. For Meghan, this isn't just about records, it's about survival in a world where royal authenticity is currency. And she's learning the hardest lesson of all. No matter how perfectly you pose, how beautifully you speak, or how cleverly you brand, royal truth doesn't bend for emotion. The monarchy doesn't play for sympathy. It plays for history. And Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Hollywood, may have finally met the one script she can't rewrite. If you want to dive deeper into this royal storm, watch the previous video where Tom Bauer exposes Meghan after shocking new evidence emerges. You will not want to miss it. This is Star Spotlight, where the crown meets controversy, and we never blink.